It's a beautiful evening here in Oakland, California, and we are fired up for Friday Night Frisbee, and it all begins with FNF Game Day from the field level at Fremont High School. We're getting ready for Minnesota wind chill, and the Oakland Spiders meeting for the first time ever, along with Ian Toner. I'm Evan Lepler Ian. When the schedule came out back in February, our eyes immediately went to this game. Two championship contenders. They both arrive undefeated. Two of the last three undefeated teams in the league. We got all the goods in a fantastic matchup tonight.
Well, I feel like we've not even had time to catch our breaths from rivalry weekend just last weekend. And here we are. We've got Boston, New York unfolding tonight, just coming out of half. We got this one about to get started. I'm pumped for this week.
We got to start with some breaking news. The Oakland Spiders made a big change to their lineup at the start of the season by moving Daniel Riddaller from defense to offense, and he has excelled in that role. Unfortunately, we're not going to see Riddaller tonight. He tweaked a hamstring in the past week. He was 50-50, kind of wishy-washy whether he was going to go. Ultimately, he wanted to play, but he's not going to play, and that's going to shift a lot for the Spiders tonight. Also for the wind chill, who really planned for Riddaller as the head of the snake of Oakland's offense.
No doubt, head of the spider, maybe. I don't know. We'll keep workshopping it as the day goes on. I think what that does is that forces the Oakland O-line to pull Jason Valley over to that grouping, and he's done great things for the D-line offense, the primary D-line O groupings efficiency. Honestly, I think the way this Oakland O-line is structured, I think that this group is so well dialed and so system oriented and so disciplined that they can plug and play a few pieces in there and still operate at a really high level of efficiency. I think the phase where they might miss Riddaller the most tonight is if this Oakland O-line does turn the ball over. He's going to be the number one ball hawk trying to get that ball back. Not to say the other guys on the line can't play defense, but that might be the phase or the section of the game where they miss his presence the most if they find themselves in that situation.
And I think the reason they're moving Jason Valley over instead of activating another O-line player is to help with the defense after return. See Riddaller cleated up. He was getting loose. There was still a chance about 45 minutes ago that he might play, and he went to his head coach, Liam Price, and said, I think tonight's not tonight. The Spiders, though, come in at 7-0. They've won their 7 games by an average of 11 goals per game. All the pieces have fallen into place so far this season for Oakland, even with the new coaching staff with Liam as their new leader.
Yeah, an exceptional job that he's done with the rest of that staff, and I think this group is just buying into the structure, the discipline, the trust, and nobody's playing hero ball. Nobody's trying to do too much. There's a great bit of continuity as this group has continued to grow and build over the last couple seasons. We're still talking about Walker Frankenberg. We're still talking about Adam Rees. But all of these new pieces that have come into the fold as well have been unbelievable difference makers in a single performance or over the course of a half season.
How about a guy just out of college, out of D3, Lewis and Clark, Max Zwerin, 6 blocks last week, setting a new Spiders franchise record. And if you're not aware, this is a Spiders team that a decade ago had some all-time legends on this squad. They won back-to-back titles in their first 2 seasons, 12 and 11 years ago, respectively. Now let's talk about the Minnesota wind chill. They are 5-0. They certainly look like the class of the Central Division. They're the only team in the league that's been to championship weekend each of the past 3 years. But the way they're winning games so far this year, Ian, is a little different. All of a sudden, their offense is incredibly hard to stop. They're not turning it over. They're holding at a very consistent rate. And that's not what you think of when you think of wind chill's success led by their defense over the past few seasons.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Over the past couple years, this group has been defined by its D-line pressure, its intensity, its ruthless ability to take the ball away and punish you and punch in breaks. And to be sure, they are punching in breaks at an incredibly efficient rate this year. They still have that in their toolkit, but they are leading the league in completion percentage. They are holding at a higher rate. They're just being a little better offensively. They've moved a few pieces around, Gordon Larson being a little more ball dominant in the last few games, Will Brandt operating more in that second connector layer than in years past. But this is a group that's attacking maybe some of its weak spots from previous years, cultivating and developing them up, and tonight is going to be the best test they've faced this year. How well have we addressed this? What data can we gather? Are we ready for showtime with the changes and the evolution over the course of this season?
Their head coach Ben Feldman has been happy to throw Nate DeMorgan into the deep end, trusting him with a lot of responsibility in his first couple of games after his second college season at Carleton. Both these offenses, though, are going to be tested tonight. These are two explosive defenses. Let's start with Minnesota's Justin Burnett. Defensive Player of the Year candidate seemingly every season. Youngster out of Emory. He plays with confidence, he plays with passion and swagger, and he is a difference maker for the wind chill when he steps onto the field.
This guy is a ball hawk. This guy is a shutdown menace. You put him on someone and you can almost guarantee that he's going to finish the night with at least one block, if not multiple. And you can see what he does after the turn, taking off, using that athleticism to make plays, to stretch the field, to get to the end zone and convert the break. I mean, you said it, he could have easily won Defensive Player of the Year last year. I've seen no slowing down from him. I'm excited to see how he fares against the speed and athleticism of the Spiders offense tonight.
He's a big game player. He shines his best under the brightest of lights. He's got 9 blocks in the 4 games he's played this year, a little more than 2 blocks per game. The Oakland Spiders have a guy just in his second year in the league who's averaging 3 blocks per game. And I'm not talking about Max Warren, who has 6 blocks in his 2 games. Carter Langfordian, second year out of Cal, 15 blocks in 5 games. It's unbelievable how consistent he's getting his hands on the disc as a defender in a league and a sport that's really based around offense.
And when you talk to the coaching staff, this is not an accident, right? Carter's been someone who's been incredibly receptive to feedback, who's been working out every single morning, who's been letting the team know what he's been doing to improve and is hungry to improve. And when that happens and compounds day over day, month over month, week over week, year over year, you end up with someone who's got great field sense, whose athleticism is constantly improving and raising its ceiling. And last year was just a taste of where he could go. Now we're starting to see, hey, we're heading into potential Defensive Player of the Year, best defender in the league territory. A great opportunity to make his case tonight.
Both these teams are stacked with young players, from Nate DeMorgan, just a sophomore, to a guy in Stephon McCall, who's going to be stepping into the Spiders lineup tonight. Excited to see him play D, the young defender out of Georgia Tech. This is just one of 13 games going on this weekend here in the Ultimate Frisbee Association. Boston, New York, a barn burner right now on WatchUFA.tv. And you got a meaningful interdivisional game that you'll be calling back in the Rockies tomorrow. The San Diego Growlers and the Colorado Apex. Colorado was just here this past weekend, but the more impressive win was their buzzer beater against Salt Lake, which was incredible. What are your thoughts about the Growlers and Apex? A sneaky, fascinating, and really important game for both teams tomorrow.
Exactly. You try and handicap this game after 2 weeks of the season. You say, oh, this is going to be Growlers by 7-10, no-brainer. But these teams are really trending in opposite directions right now. The Apex have gotten healthy. They've gotten a lot more college and other reinforcements. They're kind of peaking and getting their offense to a more respectable shape. They've always known this kind of second phase of the season after the college season ends is where they're really going to make their run. San Diego, on the other hand, through no fault of their own, has just been cursed by the injury bug. They're going to have a lot of other availability challenges this weekend. So when they're facing off against Colorado tomorrow night, that is not going to be the Growlers A squad, and they're going to need their depth. They're going to need guys to be stepping up into different roles. And I think that could be a really big ask, especially going into a road test at elevation against a team that's on the come up. Of course, I have a little bit of bias, but I think the stars are aligning for the Colorado Apex to steal one tomorrow night.
And on Sunday, the action continues. Indy at Madison, also an under the radar Chicago at Pittsburgh game that could loom large in the Central. Tomorrow, you got Boston at DC as the Glory try to win in New York and DC despite being shorthanded. And here in Oakland, Friday Night Frisbee, the first ever meeting between the Oakland Spiders and the Minnesota Wind Chill. This has been FNF Game Day. Ian and I are going to head upstairs and get ready for the opening pull. Week 8 in the Ultimate Frisbee Association launches right after this. It's week 8 in the UFA, and the ultimate intensity is climbing. The Minnesota Wind Chill arrives to the Bay Area as the undisputed Central Division super team. But the Oakland Spiders have established themselves as the clear best in the West, and they just might be the top team in the entire league too. Tonight, 2 undefeated teams collide in an interdivisional blockbuster. It's Minnesota and Oakland here on Friday Night Frisbee. Next. Wildly captivating times in the world of sports, and the Ultimate Frisbee Association has a marquee matchup for you as well. Friday Night Frisbee from the East Bay. It's the undefeated Oakland Spiders hosting the undefeated Minnesota Wind Chill. From Fremont High School here in Oakland, it's the first ever matchup between these two teams that have won titles in the association over a decade ago for the Spiders, just 2 years ago for the Wind Chill. With Ian Toner, I'm Evan Lepler. Welcome to our broadcast booth, and thanks for checking out some free Friday Frisbee tonight. So much hype for this game, Ian. Both teams are excited for the test. It truly is a championship weekend preview that we could see at the end of August in Madison.
Look, pick your offensive or defensive statistic. These teams are 1 and 2 in everything. They are two of the top teams in the league. This is the best test that both of these teams have faced so far this season. A great opportunity for them to make a statement to the rest of the league, but also get data. How well do we rank among the best of the best?
This is a Wind Chill team that you think of their defense as being the backbone, but this year the offense has made a big leap, and part of that is number 31, Nate DeMorgan, just finished his second year at Carleton College. They threw him into the deep end, put a lot of responsibility on his shoulders, and he's been up to the task.
Look, the thing that DeMorgan does is he kind of unlocks another dimension for this offense. This is a guy who's not afraid to pull the trigger as soon as he catches an underneath pass. He's not afraid to stretch the field. And honestly, that may be something that this Minnesota offense has needed for a while. It's forced guys to change some of their downfield cutting patterns. It forces defenses to not sit underneath downfield receivers all the time. And I think that's a great thing for this Minnesota offense.
Things are shifting for Oakland too. Walker Frankenberg has more responsibility on his shoulders tonight because Daniel Riddaler, a guy that's thrown a lot of goals to Walker this year, is unavailable due to a hamstring.
Look, a former UFA first teamer, this guy can do it all, both with the disc in his hands and attacking downfield to get open. He makes space. He's the engine and the kind of steady presence for this group. This is a guy who, he misses a practice, not that frequently. It happens once, and everyone's like, oh, wait, our group just wasn't clicking tonight, according to the coaching staff. This is a guy that you cannot ignore, that you cannot take for granted. He's going to be a huge part of Oakland's attack.
Keys to the game are brought to you by Victory. Ian Toner, what is most important tonight?
Look, Minnesota needs to protect the middle of the field. They don't want to let Oakland keep attacking with those skinny breaks to the middle. They want to force things out wide. They want to force things over the top. Minnesota also needs to play with tempo. Don't let this Oakland defense lock in, trap you on a sideline, dial you into a stall 5 situation. Just keep forcing the defense to get moving. Oakland, they need to put pressure on these pulls. They've got the Wind as an 8th defender, at least at the start here. Make sure they cover it. And on top of that, this is a group from Oakland that needs to make sure that it plays consistently and deals with some shifts in the lineup.
So excited for this one. These are two franchises that on and off the field are pushing the sport forward. We got a great crowd and atmosphere on a busy Friday night in the world of sports, but we're delighted to be with you for Friday Night Frisbee as the Spiders play their final home game of the regular season. They'll have 4 straight on the road after tonight. Minnesota returns home to play the Salt Lake Shred next Friday night in our marquee game. Nate DeMorgan and the Wind Chill are ready to go. It's the Wind Chill and the Spiders coming up next here from Oakland.
The Ultimate Frisbee Association is proud to partner with Victory. Elevate your game with Victory insoles and recovery footwear at vktry.com. Delta THC Seltzers. No calories, no sugar, no alcohol. Catch life's moments at drinkdelta.com. Two Town Cider House, bringing the best craft cider for everyday celebrations. Find yours at twotownciderhouse.com. And Disc-It. Round Net meets Ultimate. Disc-It is the must-have portable game for every UFA fan. Get yours at discitgame.com.
There's a vibe here in the Bay tonight. The Minnesota wind chill have come out west, and they are ready to pull. We'll see how the Oakland Spiders will handle the best pulls in the league, courtesy of Cam Lacey. No Daniel Riddaller. Again, if you joined us late, Riddaller's been a star of the Spiders offense so far this season, but he is inactive due to a hamstring. So it's Leo Gordon centering to Dexter Clyburn. And the first throw of the night, a contested catch for Adam Reese, picked up by Dylan DeClerc near the sideline. The Spiders are 7-0. The wind chill are 5-0. Only the Austin Soul unbeaten, and what an incredible catch there by Frankenberg, but after he pivoted and threw it, it's then ruled down, and it's the game's first turnover.
Look, we're going to talk about the wind a lot tonight. That's a downwind throw going in that direction from left to right across your screen. No surprise to see the bottom just falling out from underneath it.
Cross-field shot, and a tough catch made there by Kyle Suflo.
This is the phase where Minnesota has been incredibly good this season. This group converting and punching in breaks with incredible efficiency. Huge opportunity to set a statement here.
Lacey's throw floating, and it will fade away out of the reach, out of bounds with DeClerc in pursuit. Wind chill, as you said, Ian, #1 in the league in D-line conversion rate. And the Spiders #1 in break rate. These are two of the top 5 teams in completion percentage and a lot of other stats. And the third turnover of the opening point, an interception for Paul Krennick as it floated over the intended target, up the line. Clyburn gets a piece of it. Wind chill 0 for 2 on break chances in the opening couple of minutes.
I like Justin Burnett after that turnover, just using his body language to communicate with the team. The kind of calm hand, hey guys, calm down. We don't need to force these end zone shots. We can keep working it until the 100% look is there.
Here's Jason Valley switching over to O-line tonight with Riddaller out. Dylan Whited finds Valley in the backfield in the swing for Leo Gordon. Both he and his teammate Adam Reese were Rookie of the Year runner-ups last year. Donde Murray won the award for Chicago. Continue to the end zone, and a spectacular layout grab to punctuate the opening point. Chonder Boyd Flegel.
Here's a look at all the turnovers over the course of this point. Frankenberg couldn't dig that one out. And then Lacey with eyes for DeClerc. You can see what this wind is doing. When you try and throw to that front corner where DeClerc was, you're just going to get chaos. And the other shot to Krennick, giving an opportunity for the Oakland defender to kind of peel off and come into that space. And finally, this Oakland offense settles down, regains its composure. There weren't any crazy break throws or ridiculous deep shots on that possession. That was just smooth, methodical marching up the field after some of those early bugs got out of both systems.
For folks who are watching multiple Frisbee games at the moment, Boston just scored on a buzzer beater to send their game at New York into overtime in a wild one in the East Division, a rematch of last week's Friday night Frisbee showcase in Beantown.
Well, an opening point that lasted over 2.5 minutes, and now Minnesota gets a turn, and Gordon Larson's called for a travel. Gordon Larson, a guy that we could have talked about in the opening innings. He's got 6 assists in each of his last 3 games, taken more of a handling role this year, and it's worked out well. And his college teammate Will Brandt has been more of a deep threat, and he hauls in the backhand from Noah Kuhlman.
You can see the respect that Brandt is commanding in this kind of connector downfield role. Carter Langford getting that assignment.
There's Nate DeMorgan in the end zone. Minnesota with a clean hold in 58 seconds to answer Oakland's opening score.
Really nice possession there from Minnesota. Larson not freaking out after the travel call or the high stall situation. And this is what happens when you've got some more pieces that can open up the length of the fields. And Kuhlman coming over from a couple seasons with Colorado, commuting from Seattle to practice and play with this team. And he's fitting in nicely. Someone that, Coach Liam Kreis of the Spiders says, hey, Kuhlman might have some of the best throws in the world right now, which I thought was a pretty big claim.
Liam's also a little biased because he and Noah played Little League Baseball together when they were kids in Seattle. They are close friends. They go way, way back, and they're against each other today. Liam Kreis, the first-year head coach of the Spiders, certainly having an impact, although he wants to deflect the attention and throws praise on his assistants. The Spiders offense, a shaky start. And another break chance here for Tristan Vandy Mortel, Justin Burnett, and Minnesota. Eric Crosby Lehman in his first opportunity throws it away. Frankenberg gets it back for Oakland in the end zone.
I feel like that's another one of those shots that same third down the line. Justin Burnett would probably want to be saying, hey guys, let's calm down a little bit here.
Tough contested catch. Adam Reese shooting. Leo Gordon has steps on Burnett. Shy of the end zone. Looks off Boyd Flegel. Resets for Valley. Dexter Clyburn. Inside flick for the Whited score. th goal of the season for Dylan Whited, and that's the second time Minnesota's had a break chance, has not converted. Spiders get the dirty hold.
And yeah, sure, we look at this replay, Walker Frankenberg makes the play, but again, that's just not the 100% look. That's not even the 70% look. And that's the rate that this D-line has been roughly converting at when it gets the ball. I think this group just needs a little, I don't know, a calm, a reset. I understand this is a huge game, but you can't be taking those shots. You got to value them a lot more.
Well, that was Eric Crosby Lehman, who is playing just his second ever game in the UFA. That would have been his first ever assist. Larson sending DeMorgan. Floating. DeMorgan can't get there.
Another instance of the wind just kind of pushing that disc a little bit, and then DeMorgan's going to get a foul. I don't know if he intentionally kicked that disc. It looked like it was kind of in his path as he was still running out his route.
Itai Chang to Seamus Robinson, who shoots it. Carter Langford with a left hand. And he lefties it into the end zone. It's Max Zwerin. He had 6 goals against, or 6 blocks, I should say, against Colorado last weekend. There's his 3rd career goal.
I mean, you can see Larson didn't release that with a ton of torque and a massive windup. He was just trying to float it, noting that he's got that wind at his back. But here, on the goal line after this huck from Seamus Robinson, who's coming back from injury, we see Langford, and he gets a little and one on this release as he gets a little contact from some Minnesota defenders there.
Ian, we said that Minnesota was #1 in the league in D-line conversion rate, but that's based upon the number of possessions. Oakland leads the league in break rate. That's basically, do you get the break or not on a particular point? So a 3-1 lead, the Spiders strike first, and they'll have an opportunity here as Minnesota turns it on the goal line. Evan Magsig resets for Robin Vickers-Batzdorf. Magsig transitioning onto the D-line, basically trading spots with Riddaller. And he's fit in beautifully as well, but that throw was ill-advised. A mistake from Langford, and Minnesota gives it right back. What's going on? This is a sloppy first 6.5 minutes.
Well, I think the wind is really messing with Minnesota, and it's funny because they play at Seafoam Stadium, and that's a normally windy venue. The last couple games there so far this season have actually not been as windy as normal, and it looks like Langford just kind of dropped that one.
And it's good pressure by Lucas Ambrose, but I'm not sure Lucas got a piece of it. Now this is basically Minnesota's D-line on the field playing offense, trying to hold and get things back on track. Josh Klain, capable thrower in the wind.
Yeah,
was huge at championship weekend 2 years ago when the wind chill won it all in Salt Lake City. Ambrose was a member of the Seattle Cascades that weekend. Tight space throw and a whistle as Klain was letting it rip. And it will be a call that'll give Minnesota the disc on the goal line, but still work to do. So Josh Klain, the veteran, 7th in UFA history in assists, back for Dylan DeClercq. He's among the top 10 block getters all time in UFA history. DeClercq, and the official does not say it's an end. No clear signal from the sideline referee.
The far sideline referee was signaling goal. Over on the far shaded sideline out of our frame.
It'll be a Minnesota goal. Head referee Jonathan Monforti comes in and signals the score. That was a circuitous hold for Minnesota to get back within one.
So that turn just completely unforced. Unclear on what was going on with the swing there, and then we saw the Oakland turnover. We saw Klain try and huck it upwind, getting absolutely no leverage on that. It never went more than 3-4 feet off the ground, and Minnesota able to be a little more patient, but they got to understand just attacking in the direction that they were on that point to the west end zone. That's going to be tough. You got to be extra sure of any shot going that direction. Those windows are smaller than they think.
Excellent Minnesota pull, forcing Oakland to start this possession from their own end zone. Clyburn for Frankenberg. Picked up by Vinoka. Everywhere you're looking, there's really fun matchups. Burnett's got whited. Here's Leo Gordon. Boyd Flegel having a fine rookie season for the Spiders to Frankenberg. It's been arguably Oakland's best looking offensive possession so far. Crossfield shot on the money. Leo Gordon's got it.
So the Oakland O-line knows how to navigate these conditions. Some great adaptive marks from Minnesota earlier in the point, preventing some of those shots down the line. But once they got into the red zone, they know where the high percentage look is. And I don't know if we've talked enough about what Leo Gordon does for this offense as well. That's the thing about this O-line grouping. I think their system, their patterns, their looks, they're so structurally sound and know what they want and what they're doing that, yes, you need guys of a certain skill and athleticism level, but so many guys can just slot right in and be the guy that night or know exactly what to do.
Wind Chill coach Ben Feldman was really excited to see his offense tested against the Spiders' defensive pressure. Said, with all due respect to our Central Division opponents, we expect tonight to be a little bit different. And I think the Wind Chill O-line's feeling that pressure right now. Gordon Larson in his own end zone, working with Noah Coleman and Leo Savell Fernandez. Josh Klain, a tumbling catch. Still in Callahan country, and he forces Larson to leave his feet. Brand, a little floater, and it's blocked by Itai Chang from behind.
DeMorgan wanted a call on Chang, but I think he got that one cleanly, even though there was a little contact.
Quick transition attack. Tony Goss to Seamus Robinson. He's bumped from behind by DeMorgan. A free 10 yards for the Spiders, and they'll reset. Oakland breaks again.
Look, something that this Minnesota O grouping has talked about over the course of this season has been, hey, we can't have guys hanging out behind the disc. If I'm throwing a swing, if I'm throwing a lateral pass, I need to clear out and attack more aggressively upfield. And there were a couple moments when they were up against that back line where they had three guys just horizontally within 15 square yards of the disc. That's not the identity that this group has tried to cultivate and change over the course of this season. They need to have those auxiliary handlers swiping through the space, clearing out of there, occupying their defenders, and not letting other guys just kind of gum up the lanes and keep them trapped back there.
Early 3-goal deficit for Minnesota. Larson hammers off the sideline pull. Or I should say Johnson did. It's a hodgepodge line here. And the deep shot intended for Krennic. End zone score. The footsteps of Sean Liston approaching, but Krennic able to bring it in. So much action, we haven't been able to bring in the third member of our broadcast crew yet, but want to bring in Matt Ruby, who covers the Oakland Spiders all year long. Matt, thanks for being with us tonight. What have been your impressions from the first 11 minutes from the sideline?
Hey guys, welcome to beautiful Oakland, California. I am not surprised that the Minnesota Wind Chill offense, especially going upwind, are having their issues. It can take almost a half to kind of grow accustomed to these incredibly gusty, swirly conditions. Ian, you called it out. Oakland's offense definitely much more adept at dealing with these pretty unique conditions. And Wind Chill hanging in. It's as good as we expected.
All right, thanks, Matt. We'll get back to you early in the second quarter, I hope. Ian, I've heard a lot of coaches around the league talk like there's wind at a lot of places, but the wind at this particular stadium is just different. And as Matt said, it takes some getting used to. Oh, tough catch by Leo Gordon. He's shooting it into traffic. Lucas Ambrose eats it up.
30 seconds left to go here. Is Ben Feldman going to try and burn one? I think he did, right? Yep, he got it.
Timeout, Minnesota. And the Wind Chill will celebrate the successful timeout call to save a turnover. 23.4 seconds here for the Minnesota offense. A busy night and a busy weekend around the Ultimate Frisbee Association, and a stunner in New York City as Boston wins in overtime over the Empire, 17-15.
If you weren't following that one, that was 4-1 New York at one point in the first quarter.
Yeah, and no Jeff Babbitt. A bunch of other key players for Boston were out, but another home loss for the Empire, their second of the season. So that's the big story earlier this evening in the UFA. Pretty good Friday doubleheader on Watch UFA TV and here in Oakland on Friday Night Frisbee. We had heard whispers that maybe Boston, might pull off the Dogs in the second half. It was ugly to focus on getting a win tomorrow in DC. Not exactly. All right, final seconds here in this opening quarter. Oakland has been the better team so far, but Minnesota trying to get within one. 10 seconds for Klain in the wind chill. Christian Johnson finds some space. Look into the end zone. Will Brandt is under it, and he pulls it in, but he is in the end zone. It's a good goal. The wind chill score at the buzzer. Right at the front of the end zone. The official was right there and said he was in. For a second, I thought we needed a Joel Clutton tip.
Let's take one more look at this one. This view doesn't quite let us know where the pylons are, as Kuhlman's going to get completely unmarked, and coaches will tell you that's the cardinal sin. It's less about bodying up on the guys in the end zone and more about challenging at the point of release. When Kuhlman releases, Brandt is able to bring it down, and Minnesota is right back in this one here on Friday Night Frisbee.
Well, a frenetic finish to the opening quarter. The wind chill get their first break of the game here. We're still looking to see, did his foot land beyond the 10-yard line? Looks like it was right on it, Ian, but the official right by the pylon has a better vantage point than we do, and he called it in, and that's what counts. The wind chill, despite a sloppy start, are within one, and they're receiving to start the second.
Yeah, this is an unbelievable swing there in those last moments of the quarter. It shows you how important end of quarter situations are, how important situational game management is for Ben Feldman to call that timeout the instant before an otherwise turnover was thrown. And it feels like Oakland had been completely dominating. Minnesota had been leaving chance after chance on the table. And yet after all of that, they got a chance to tie things up here to start the second quarter.
Not sure who it was called on, but someone in the Spiders presumably got a technical foul because they're pulling from their own end zone 20 yards back from the normal pull spot. So good field position to start this opening possession of the second for the Wind Chill. Minnesota plays at Vegas tomorrow, but this is the marquee game of the weekend and really of the season for both these teams. "11 weeks from tonight, Ian, the UFA Championship game will be played the end of August in Madison. Could it be these two teams meeting again on August 28th under the lights at Bree Stevens Field?"
I mean, sign me up if that's what we're going to get.
There's a bump on Robinson. Vanoka takes the free 10. Vanoka floating it to the end zone, and he connects. Leo Savell Fernandez with the score.
Little bit of a trust throw as we see the foul on Vanoka, and Savell Fernandez had kind of started his cut. It wasn't totally clear that he was heading in that direction, but Tony Goss just not quite orbited fully around to that fore side of his defender to take that lane away. And good patience from Minnesota on that downwind possession. We've seen both teams struggle going in this direction, calibrating the deep shots, letting some simple underneaths just kind of hit the turf, but right there, good patience, good execution, and now Minnesota has tied this thing back up.
Yep, they've scored the last 3 goals. And a slightly awkward pull receive there from Leo Gordon. Clyburn from his own end zone gets it to Frankenberg, who continues for Valley. Boyd Flegel with pace and a little too hot. Clyburn can't handle it. A chance for the Wind Chill to take their first lead.
And reminder that Ben Feldman still has 1 timeout. I don't expect him to use it early on in this possession, but this group needs to not take a narrow, skinny, same third shot unless it's the last possible look in the stall count.
Noah Hansen. Back to Krennic. Here's Lacey.
Not seeing them move the disc laterally enough. They gotta change the angle of attack and keep the defense honest.
Lacey trying to oblige, and he gets it to Krennic, sacrificing the yards to do so. And now we get a whistle, and the Wind Chill use their final timeout of the half.
After what we saw in the first quarter, with these D-lines pulling the trigger on some kind of iffy shots and not converting at their usual clip, I like that call from Feldman there.
Well, next week we got not 1 Friday Night Frisbee, but 2 Friday Night Frisbees. Double the fun as we follow the Salt Lake Shred through the Midwest. First on Thursday night, 6 days from now at Bree Stevens Field in Madison. 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 o'clock Pacific. And then the Shred go to Minnesota for a rematch of that classic semifinal they played at TCO Stadium back in 2023. And went to overtime on the unforgettable tip. Also next Saturday, Toronto, Seattle. Intriguing interdivisional action. East-West matchup that's never happened before. For the Rush and the Cascades. All right, Minnesota with its O-line on the field. Looking to take their first lead of the night. And they're going backwards right now.
And look at this. We got 4 guys within 20 yards of the disc. They need to get someone clearing out
Looking for Vinoka. It's intercepted by Vickers-Battsdorf.
I mean, that's exactly the shot that we kind of said earlier we don't want them to take. They haven't been converting on that tonight, especially with the wind as stiff as it is. Maybe later tonight the wind dies down as the sun goes down and that throw becomes more viable. Right now, I don't know what more data you need to convince you that that is not the time or place to pull the trigger.
Magsig was bumped by Brandt, a free 10 yards. Magsig gets it back. Just shy of the goal line for the Spiders. Stefan McCall. James Whelan drops the blade in, and it's Dylan Burns in the end zone with the first break of the second quarter. Excuse me, it's a hold after a timeout. My mistake, Ian.
I don't blame you, because after the substitution we'd seen the O-lines and D-lines swap, but this is what happens when you don't play tight man defense in the red zone. When you set a double team and you try and give different people, hey, you're going to take this side of the stack, you're going to take that side of the stack, oftentimes one person is going to be completely unmarked. And Dylan Burns, Johnny on the spot right there, just needs to sit in the soft space, taking advantage of the defense not being able to recover.
Let's send it downstairs to Matt. What are you seeing and hearing from the sidelines, Matt Ruby?
Guys, mostly what I'm hearing is a really loud Oakland crowd that is super engaged, but also a quick wind report. It has really, really settled down and become much calmer out here. So that Wayland blade, I think, indicates the conditions settling out quite a bit.
All right, great stuff, Matt. Thank you. Spinning pull from Seamus Robinson.
And hats off to the Spiders faithful. It's a raucous atmosphere here. Our booth is shaking from some of the chants and cheers earlier, and we love being a part of some of the great atmospheres around the league.
The night is young. Just a beautiful day in the Bay Area. Mid-upper 60s. Nice cool breeze. And so much of the country getting drilled by ridiculous heat. It is incredibly pleasant here in Oakland. Ambrose with a big swing.
Didn't see a single deep cut off that swing. I think Minnesota is going to want to change that, at least threaten it.
How about the defense from Max Zwerin? 6 blocks last week against Colorado, and his first of the night, a spectacular one. And a timeout taken from the Spiders sideline.
No, there was a foul, a defensive foul.
Well, Oakland's sideline is on the field, and the officials signaled the restart of play, and the refs got to get this sorted out. Oakland celebrating like it's going to be their disc. Head referee Jonathan Monforti explaining himself to Ben Feldman, who's searching for an explanation on the opposite sideline. Can't wait to see a replay when we get a chance to check out, did Zwerin get this clean? And the timeout was granted, so this will be Oakland's disc when we come back to live action. Here's the play.
That block looked clean. Vanden Mortel didn't appear too upset.
After the Spiders timeout, oh, nearly a block on the restart from Suflo. Gordon slithers up the line. Working with Clyburn and Valley. Active mark from Burnett. Trying to put his fingerprints on this first half. Clyburn steps out, continues for Reese.
Little crowded on that
Valley accelerating across the field. Minnesota looking for a goal line stand, but Oakland finds the open space. Walker Frankenberg with the score and a 2-goal lead for Oakland again. Let's check in with Matt on the sideline. Matt, did you get a sense of what that conversation was about?
Yeah, it was just a D. It was a simple block with a very quick timeout called by the Spiders sideline. I think that's what caused the confusion. It did look like an awfully close, perhaps a strip call, but that's not the case. Just a quick timeout from the Oakland coaching staff.
Yeah, and I think the refereeing crew got that one right. It was a little bit of a chaotic sequence, but incredible block there by Zwerin. This guy is making a case to stay in the lineup after 6 blocks last game. And I know there's plenty of other horses waiting to get after it for the Spiders that aren't active tonight, but Max is making it hard to not keep him in the active 20 with his impact in the last 2 games.
Well, if you joined us late, no Daniel Riddaller tonight for the Spiders. They're also missing guys that are among their top players like Raquan Atkins, Kyle Liu, Anton Orem, still battling back from a hamstring injury that impacted him. College Nationals looking deep for Brandt. Greg Cousins is also there, and he gets to the disc first. Now sets up Brandt, the championship weekend MVP from a couple seasons ago. And there was contact, and there's no call.
Wow.
And the Spiders are off to the races. Nagsig looking for it. And Brandt is there to smack it down. And what I'm sure he's thinking, just don't lie, because it certainly looked like he got hit on his backswing as he launched the throw. Savel Fernandez bluffs the big backhand. There's not much of a rhythm to this game, Ian.
Definitely not. It feels like a bunch of staccato notes on the keyboard.
Part of that is the defensive pressure that both teams are creating. That throw from Klain, hauled in by Savel Fernandez. Perhaps one more throw away. And some contact on the goal line, obvious interference.
Gotta be a flagrant, in my opinion.
And the head ref, Jonathan Monforti, signals to stop the clock with 4:35 to play in the half. Monforti working with Sebastian Miner, Jason Miguel, and Branton Wright tonight. And it has been a physical game through the opening couple of quarters.
I mean, this is just, you're kind of diving into his back a little bit there.
You got the common foul or a flagrant foul?
That's what I maintain what I said earlier, a flagrant foul.
Have not seen the signal for a flagrant. And it is being ruled a common foul. DeMorgan double teamed on the goal line. Quickly gets the release to Savel Fernandez. Big reset. Tough over the shoulder catch for Gordon Larson. Spiders with some active goal line defense, and that's another pass interference call as Kuhlman could not make the catch.
Was the contact after? Oh yeah, he takes out his legs. Yeah.
Aaron Rosenthal with the bid. The Spiders are hoping that Monforti's going to overturn it. Winchell's hoping that it's called an unsportsmanlike, and it is. That's a flagrant for the dangerous bid into the legs. The interesting thing is it does look like Kuhlman may have not caught that cleanly even.
Yeah, he was flubbing it.
Yeah.
But then as it has yet to hit the ground, he gets his legs taken out from under. I think that's justifiable flagrant call.
So Kuhlman on the goal line. A lot going on here in Oakland. This battle of undefeated teams. And an emphatic spike from Nate DeMorgan. Playing his first game as a 20-year-old. He celebrated his birthday this past Sunday. He's got his second goal of the night after a wild back and forth point with plenty of contact both ways.
Nice work by Minnesota, just staying patient. As many throws as it takes. This is a really intense game, a lot of physicality, loud crowd, huge test, biggest opponent of the season. It's easy to try and want to make the hero ball play to get yourself out of the jam quickly, but that's a really, really nice display of poise from this Minnesota O-line.
13 points so far in the game. 4 of them, including the most recent one, have lasted more than 2 minutes. Another excellent pull from the wind chill. Gordon from his own end zone to Whited. Boyd Flegel flips out of the end zone for Frankenberg. Valley plays catch with Clyburn. Gordon across midfield for Reese. Continue for Frankenberg. This is well done for about 90 yards. Oakland still with work to do, and they'll get some free yards as Frankenberg bumped by Ambrose. And Dexter Clyburn's got the goal.
Once again, this Oakland O-line isn't doing anything crazy. This is a group that's just pump faking, that's making space for each other, that's threatening with the deep cut and choosing the safe option by going underneath, by doing a mini break, by throwing a soft inside. They know how to run these patterns, originating and attacking from their backfield, and it's just so challenging for defenses to stop. And Minnesota, after getting a bunch of turns in the first quarter, hasn't necessarily been able to slow this unit down here in the second quarter.
Matt Ruby is our eyes on the sideline. Matt, how would you characterize the spice that you're seeing between the lines right now?
I'm seeing a lot of bumping and grinding and people really sticking their noses into space. Both the Rosenthal D and the Magsid D, definitely higher contact than we want. Here's a nice help. Going back to you guys, yeah.
Connecting with Larson in the middle of the field. Here's Brandt. Both these offenses trying to settle in. Kuhlman with a quick turn to DeMorgan. The righty hammer caught by the wind, but Fanoka runs it down. There are few throwers in the history of the sport with an arsenal like Nate DeMorgan, Ian. He mostly throws lefty, but every once in a while he drops in the righty hammer, and it is an incredible weapon.
And for that to sit in that upwind direction and not carry completely out of bounds, just unbelievable torque and adjustment. And Bivon recognizes that right away, pointing right back at him. And that's what we were talking about in the open. He adds another dimension that can go over the top, that can make this offense more threatening and less predictable for defenses to deal with.
You may have said this earlier, but Ben Feldman, talking about DeMorgan this week, said that the rest of the offense cuts differently when he's out there. First assist for DeMorgan to go along with 2 goals. 8-7 Spiders, 2 minutes to play in the first half. Nice job by Vandy Mortel preventing Boyd Flegel from getting the space when Lacey went down. Frankenberg so quick. He and Ambrose have had a bunch of battles in the West Division through the years. That's a drop. Just a mistake there, a hiccup from Boyd Flegel. Great chance for Minnesota, looking to tie it again. Winchell with no timeouts, but they don't need one. Justin Burnett in the end zone. 8-all.
A little bit of a gift here from Oakland. Boyd Flegel makes that catch 9 times out of 10. And that is the patience that we want to see from Minnesota after the turnover. And there's Mr. Showtime, Justin Burnett, doing his signature wave after getting on the score sheet for the first time tonight. I've seen him grinding downfield in the lanes. I've seen him trying to take a peek and see if he could peel off his guy for 1 second and cause some havoc in the midfield. But so far, Oakland has not given him a real quality look at a block.
Christian Johnson rips the pull into the wind. Minnesota scored at the buzzer at the end of the first to tie it. Falling behind by 2 here in the second, but they fought their way back, and they'll have a chance to take the lead as the deep shot couldn't be caught by Burns. Again, Winchell out of timeouts.
Gotta wonder, is that a shot, excuse me, that the O-line takes, but Oakland gets it right back.
James Whelan, great anticipation. Dylan Burns in the end zone. Spiders retake the lead, and DeClercq has something to say. Going shoulder to shoulder. Not sure what DeClercq took such exception to there, Ian, but clearly he was perturbed by that sequence.
I mean, there could be a little bit of frustration too of just, oh man, we had the chance to break for a lead and just literally gave it away.
Winchell 2 of 7 on break chances.
So far below the season average.
Seamus Robinson pulls for the Spiders. Final 45 seconds here in half number 1.
That's an incredible upwind pull.
Week 8 of Friday Night Frisbee. Plain and Cousins playing catch. A couple of veterans with 30 seconds to go. Larson takes a peek at the clock and rips a long backhand. Will Brandt with a one-handed catch. The St. Olaf Berserker connection.
5 seconds.
Klain back of the end zone for Brandt with just 1.7 to go.
That is unreal poise from this Winchell O-line. The deep shot to Brandt. Have we made a big enough deal about how great a threat he's become downfield now that he's not having to quarterback everything back there? The release valve that he's been tonight. This kid's got size. He's got a library card. He could do it all for this group. And it feels like this coaching staff has started to optimize exactly how this O-line should be configured and where they should be looking for each other.
That's well said. Brant with a couple of buzzer beaters, one with no time left, the other with 1.7 left. Spiders. Gordon launches the length of the field. Minnesota's defense waiting for it. Battle in the end zone. It's a Spiders score! Oh, nobody's shy of the goal line, my goodness. Dylan Whited makes the catch, but whereas Brant was ruled in at the end of the first, Whited comes up just short.
I mean, phenomenal snag from Whited. Incredible athleticism.
He knew it immediately, Ian, that he wasn't in.
So again, it's that
a yard shy.
It's that white line.
Unbelievable. So it's a tie game at the half.
So he's got to get to the 10. He comes down, and you can see both feet on the infield, not end zone side of that 10-yard line.
Wild first half, 9-all. Let's get the Spiders' perspective with their new coach, Liam Kreis. Liam, thanks for slipping the headset on and chatting with us. Entertaining, to say the least, frenetic, back and forth. Feels like neither team has really settled into a rhythm. What's been your perspective of the first couple quarters tonight?
Yeah, we're super excited that Minnesota came to play. That's what we've been excited for all week, all season, and we appreciate them coming out and giving us a great game so far.
What's been the story of the game so far?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think this wind is definitely having an effect on the game. I think these upwind, downwind breaks are really important, and we've had a little trouble executing in the red zone, so we're going to have to pick that up in the second half.
How do you get that group to tighten the screws in the red zone? I feel like that's probably something you guys have drilled a ton, but what can you do when you're already in the heat of a really intense matchup?
Absolutely, yeah. I think the energy, the fans here are making it really exciting for everyone, and we're a little bit too eager to send some of these, so I think just taking a deep breath in the locker room, taking our time, knowing that we can work it, and we have all the skills, we have all the throws, we just got to be a little more patient.
Last thing, Liam, how do you feel your offense has adapted without Dan Riddaller as the quarterback and the centerpiece?
Yeah, he's a big loss, but I think all these guys got his back. We know how to win. Dan has been a great sideline presence for us, and I believe that they're going to pull through in the second half.
All right, Liam, really appreciate your time and
Absolutely.
perspective. Best of luck going forward. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Well, the Spiders get 3 breaks and the Windchill get 2, but Will Brandt scored the final goal of each quarter, and the Spiders came up a yard shy, Kevin Dyson style. 9-all at the half here in Oakland on Friday Night Frisbee.
It is championship weekend in the Western Ultimate League.
Covered and grabbed! It's Yen! Oh! What a grab! And
There you go.
Oh my God!
Grab from Chung, and Chip Chang launches to Stetmeyer for a goal.
And a blazing
Into the end zone, and it's a layout grab.
up for Milner.
Wow! Oh my goodness, Leah. That was a dime ball.
Here at the midway point of the 2026 UFA season, let's take a look at some of the leading candidates for all UFA and MVP honors. While there's still a long way to go, each of these names have certainly made a strong impression through the first month and a half of the season. Number 1, let's start with last year's MVP, Boston's Tova de Krana. The 22-year-old Belgian was a highlight factory through the first few weeks of the season, and he still stands among the league leaders in total scores and total yards. With de Krana leading the way, the Glory are on the march back to the playoffs and in the hunt for a second consecutive championship. Number 2, the New York Empire have a deep bench of great players, but Alex Atkins' arrival to the Big Apple has been a game changer. The former Colorado star fit in seamlessly with the Empire and quickly showed a flair for the dramatic with big throws and bigger skies to help New York elevate its level back to the realm of title contenders. Number 3, in the South Division, no one has been more consistently brilliant than Carolina's Jacob Fairfax. From the buzzer-beating skies to the big-time throws and everything in between, Fairfax has been an anchor for the Flyers all season long. And he was especially excellent in all 3 games against the rival Hustle, lifting his team back into playoff position in the South. Number 4, let's go out west and highlight Oakland's Daniel Riddaller. After being a mainstay on the Spiders' D-line over the past 2 seasons, Riddaller shifted onto offense this year and has helped elevate Oakland into the West Division favorite and a true championship threat. And number 5, while his team has struggled to win close games, Montreal's Malika Sama has been unbelievable for the Royale. As a thrower and a receiver, opponents have struggled to slow down the super athletic Ajay Sama all season long. Beyond these 5 names, there are dozens of other elite seasons unfolding before our eyes, from youngsters like DC's Miles Grovick and Indy's Elliott Hawkins blossoming into stars, to mainstays like Atlanta's Austin Taylor and Austin's Kyle Henke continuing to carry their teams. With half a season left until the playoffs, it'll be fascinating to watch and see who else can step up and lift their team's chances on the road to championship weekend. Boston has its glory.
Jeff Babbitt with the size, the speed, the read. Did he throw it the full 80 yards of the field?
You cannot kill this Minnesota team.
Are you believing what you're seeing?
My hands are on my head up here in the booth.
Was there any doubt? Was there any doubt? Holy smoke!
Well, at halftime here in Oakland, all the kids in the stands come onto the field for a little game of Frisbee, and the pros are ready to start their second half warm-ups. A few minutes away from the third quarter. Let's get the wind chill perspective with Minnesota head coach Ben Feldman. Ben, wild first half, couple of buzzer beaters go your way. Clearly it's a battle back and forth. What are your primary takeaways from the first half tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I can't see you guys. Maybe I don't know if you can see me, but it's good to hear your voice. Hey, it's a battle out here. You know, we had some really, conversion. We knew it was going to be a challenge tonight. I think it's a little more self-inflicted. Haven't played in this wind here the last couple games, so some self-inflicted red zone woes early in the game. But they punched back, broke us, and to be tied at half, I think we're fortunate with how we've executed here so far this game. Some good stuff, but. I think if we clean up our game, we're going to be happy with where things are at here at the end of the fourth quarter.
Ben, neither you nor Oakland anywhere near your season break percentage. What can your group do to try and dial that in and be a little more efficient after you get that turnover?
Yeah, I think we're being a little bit greedy when we're getting close to the upwind end zone. We're taking some tight shots and windows down the sideline. You get a short field turnover like that, you got to be better. Turns are going to come in this half. It seems like the wind's still going here, so both teams are, going to put the disc on the ground at some point, and we just got to possess a little bit better. I think the team who has the better deconversion here in the second half is probably going to be the one on top at the end of it.
Ben, what's the message to your guys about the physicality? We're seeing a lot of calls both ways.
Yeah, it's a battle. All right, we got two great teams, two great defenses, a lot of athleticism and speed on the field. So, I'm not surprised. Two undefeated teams going at it. Friday night Frisbee. What do I don't expect any less.
All right, Ben. Appreciate your time. Best of luck in the second half.
All right, thanks, guys.
2024 UFA Coach of the Year, leading Minnesota to the franchise's first title 2 years ago out in Salt Lake City. We had 13 turnovers in the first quarter, Ian, which means there were 8 turnovers in the second quarter. Oakland won the first 5-4, Minnesota won the second 5-4, and we are even at the half.
Look, both of these defenses are leaving tons of opportunities off the table. Their break percentage significantly off from their season averages. Are we going to see them dial things in and regress to the mean in a positive way here in the second half? Or are we going to see them both continue to struggle? That's the area of the game that's going to determine who comes out on top tonight.
It's been a hard game to get a feel of. Just because the way the wind impacted the first half. I think the way both defenses are bringing the intensity and taking their teams out of their first options at times. The wind is picking up a little bit as the third quarter gets underway, and here's Cam Lacey. He's still just 23 years old, the 4th most pulls in the league entering the week. And he gets this third quarter underway. Clyburn centers to Gordon. And a drop from Dylan Whited. Paul Krennic calls a foul on himself. And now the referee made it clear. I was calling interference too, so you don't need to use the integrity rule. Whited and Krennic exchange pleasantries and then restart play. Oh, a bobble and he hung onto it. Somehow Valley kept it off the turf. Unbelievable reaction from Valley to keep that alive. It looked like it was gone. Valley to Reese. A sliding score for Adam Reese. And in 1 minute here in the third, the Spiders retake the lead.
I mean, just a few seconds ago, Valley was catching the disc all the way over here on this near sideline. As we're going to get another look at that, he bobbles it, he saves it, and then look, we blink, a few throws later, it's all the way over at the opposite sideline. This Oakland offense is so good at making those swings and break throws continue to cascade in a way that doesn't let the defense get its feet set, reestablish the mark, get comfortably in position. That is when this group is at its best, and I think this group does it almost better than almost any other unit in the league.
And you make it sound so simple when you talk about changing the angle of attack. But I know as a defender, there are things you're trying to do to prevent that too.
Right. And I think a big part of that is these offenses consciously looking to continue that swing and consciously setting up cuts that attack that swing area rather than just keeping your eyes squared downfield and trying to hope for the hero shot to open up. I mean, it's impossible for defenders to eliminate every option laterally.
Both teams 75% on their hucks so far tonight. Minnesota twice as many tries. They're 6 of 8. Oakland just 3 of 4. Patience here from the Winchell O-line.
Again, we got 4 guys within 20 square yards of the ball. This group's got to kind of clear some things out a little better.
Travel called, and this throw from Brandt to Larson is coming back. We got Matt Ruby on the sidelines. Matt, what are you seeing from Oakland defensively here?
This is the first time I've seen them throw this sort of quasi-zone that's been a staple of their defense through the rest of the season. And what I'm seeing is Minnesota handlers maybe a little hesitation and trying to figure this out.
How about a hammer from Nate DeMorgan? It's incomplete. Looking for Cousins.
Downwind, righty. Tough choice.
But Cousins gets it right back immediately. Liam Kreis, I think, was perhaps signaling a timeout, but there was no whistle, and Minnesota punches it in, and Kreis doesn't know what just happened. DeMorgan is in the end zone for the chill.
Well, Kreis is still talking to one of the officials. As we get a look at the hammer, really tough, and Burns throws right into the poach. And then the little push pass to finish here, but there is still a conversation going on with Kreis, Jonathan Monforti, and 2 other officials down there. And you could tell Kreis a little frustrated. Again, we didn't have the primary audio up here, but my best guess is he's thinking he got the timeout call and the ref either didn't hear it or didn't acknowledge it in time.
Liam Kreis coached the University of Cal Berkeley, his alma mater, last year. And then when Caleb Merriam stepped away from the Spiders in the offseason, it was Evan Magsig, who was 2 years behind Kreis at Cal. So Magsig was a freshman when Liam was a junior, that reached out to Kreis and suggested he interview for the head coaching position. Say it's worked out well. They're 7-0. Stumble there. Frankenberg says no hard feelings. Frankenberg almost threw that early before the whistle, which would have been a delay of game. Gordon doubled. Gets it around for Valley. Chandler Boyd Flegel. Back to Gordon.
Frankenberg hanging out in the far corner. Is Oakland going to go over the top to him?
Oh, it's Clyburn who hauls in the Scuba for the score.
More good patience here from the Spiders O group. Valley slotting in perfectly tonight. Not the first time he's crossed over this season. Kind of crazy to see Mac Hecht on the sidelines as a practice player for this group, firing his teammates up. You got to wonder what he's thinking. Hey, I could be out here slicing and dicing in this wind.
Yeah, Mac, for a guy that hasn't played in the UFA over the past couple of years, has been an incredibly important member of the Spiders community. I think life circumstances prevented him from committing fully to the team. I think he has a conflict at championship weekend that would prevent him from being there if the Spiders get there, so he didn't want to commit and then miss the biggest weekend of the year. But he continues to be a valuable voice. Oh, floater for Brandt. Kuhlman swings it for DeMorgan. And contact against Kuhlman, making the catch near the goal line. It's a tremendous University of Oregon flavor in this game. From Kuhlman and Ambrose to Itai Chang, Daniel Riddaler, Chandler Boyd-Flegel. Oregon has turned out a lot of great players, and many of them are on the field tonight. DeMorgan taking exception with Itai's actions there, although the animosity doesn't look like it's going to linger.
Those are two high-level guys. They're used to banging in the paint. They know what it means to go step for step, throw a few shoulders, a few arm bars, fight through it. They know where the line is.
Nate DeMorgan, a member of the Salt Lake Shred last year. As Liam Kreis told us yesterday morning, the last game the Spiders lost was to Nate DeMorgan in the Shred. A game that they entered the fourth quarter last August with a 3-goal lead and could not hang on, and certainly those situational ultimate special teams type things are something that the Spiders have focused on throughout their preseason practices and over the first half of the season. I think they've improved in those things, Ian, but I think we've seen at the end of quarters tonight there's still a lot of work to be done. Small margins between the best teams in this league. Leo Gordon squeezes it through to Adam Reese. The two Rookie of the Year runners up from a season ago collaborate on the go-ahead goal.
This group was just dribbling in the red zone. Ball barely in anyone's hand for a second. Little flips in flow, in motion, off to the next guy, and we didn't see it in that replay, but a couple really important throws up and off the sideline that were crucial to not having that group stall out or stymie. And once you can keep that moving in that way, it's just so hard to slow down. And Adam Reese making an impact tonight, almost 250 yards of offense and 2 goals. I mean, just pick your guy on the O-line, and he's an impact player so far.
About 12 minutes away from sunset here in Oakland. The lights are on at Fremont High School. This blustery home of the Oakland Spiders. DeMorgan with space underneath, finds Vinoka. Would have been a call if not for the completion, but we play on. Larson looking for DeMorgan, and he hits him in the chest. Christian Johnson crossfield hammer, and it's a dot for Will Brandt.
I'm telling you, these crossfield hammers that expose the nose side of the disc to the wind, they're so risky because that wind is at Christian Johnson's back. It'd be really easy for the wind to kind of just push that throw and force it, but he throws it with just the right angle, just enough torque to counteract any of that effect. Really expert stuff there from him.
Let's check in with Matt on the sidelines.
After that beautiful huck to Morgan and then the crossfield hammer, Noah Kuhlman jumps off the bunch screaming, "How sick are we?" Minnesota absolutely in this game.
Yeah, they don't lack confidence, that's for sure. Long way to go. 12 all, already one overtime game in the UFA earlier tonight. Boston stunning New York after the Empire bludgeoned Boston last week in Massachusetts. How about Boston, New York, and DC all winning on the others' home fields this season? New York won at DC and Boston, but lost at home to the Breeze and the Glory. See how the Glory fare tomorrow in the second day of the back-to-back against the Breeze.
Once again, folks, the East is the best division in the association.
Certainly have plenty of years of evidence for that. Both these teams envision competing with the eventual East Division champ, whoever emerges. The end of August in Madison. Leo Gordon. So quick. And a whistle. And it'll be Gordon on the goal line after the call against Minnesota. Leo Gordon surrounded by white jerseys, but he finds a gap. And it's Jason Valley with a goal.
Not the first time an Oakland score has looked something like a parting of the Red Sea, with one man left all alone in the middle of the end zone. And just Leo Gordon has been just a terror going back to his college days with Brown. He's just so, I love the adjective you used earlier, slippery. I love the verb you used, slither. It's not like he's doing anything crazy. He's just so efficient and powerful and quick and decisive with his cuts. It's tough for anyone to stay with him step for step in small space, especially when he has a really quick change of direction.
Well, you say going back to his Brown days, but I think you really have to go back to his Berkeley high school days. High school national invite is going on right now. Leo Gordon was a captain for a Berkeley team that won high school national invite 2019, just 7 years ago, Ian. Although he's grown a lot since then, there's no doubt. High stall situation, and Cousins gets it to Klain, who shoots it. Vinoka, back of the end zone. He's got the room. Josh Klain has been launching hucks like that for well over a decade, too.
I mean, give that man power position, no mark, and one of his favorite targets of all time, Bevon, like, that's nearly automatic, especially downwind.
Well, Bevon is an example for everyone, the way he trains, the way he battles, and the versatility that he brings. They could play him on O, they could play him on D, it doesn't matter. He's the all-time leading goal scorer in wind chill history. And of course, no one's thrown more assists in a wind chill jersey than Josh Klain, 7th all-time in the history of the league. That goal, Brian Vinoka just passed Misha Freystadter for 17th on the all-time UFA charts. Misha was a pretty good goal scorer, tough guy to stop at 6'7".
Former Team USA teammate of mine, that guy was a terror to defend.
And it's a delay of game. Frankenberg almost was guilty of this earlier, and this time he got rid of it too quick. This is something players practice as he shoots it long. Boyd Flegel can't get there. Minnesota has been flirting with taking the lead for a while. They've got an opportunity to do it here. How aggressive will Ben Feldman be with the timeout trigger? Speaking of the trigger, it's the deep shot for Kyle Sluflo. Dexter Clyburn is called for the foul.
The fans have yet to comprehend that. You could see he got the block, but then he just kind of came through Suflo afterwards. That's still a foul.
15 yards away from the goal line. Hammer, hanging, pulled in by Ambrose. Ambrose to Burnett. Fun seeing these two guys play together. And what do we got? Timeout, Minnesota. High stall situation. Feldman burns his first time out here in the second half. So the wind chill looking to take the lead for the first time in the second half. Reminder that this is Oakland's last home game. Yeah, they're sitting at 7-0, but they've got a tough stretch on the road against just two teams. They go to Colorado and Salt Lake in a back-to-back later this month. And then the final weekend of the season, we'll have Friday Night Frisbee out in Salt Lake City on July 17th. And just like this weekend, Ian, that'll be a double-header weekend for you in the broadcast booth.
Can't wait. Let's just hope all the flights stay on time, huh?
That would be nice. Minnesota's flights were delayed last night. They didn't get in until about 1:30, 2 a.m. Pacific time. A little lecture here for Robin Vickers-Batzdorf and Nate DeMorgan. Two guys that are never shy to mix it up. It's a fun matchup. Grant sees the double team, kicks it for Savel Fernandez. Larson's wide open. Zips it to the corner of the end zone through the wind to give the wind chill. The 14-13 lead. Greg Cousins in the end zone for Minnesota.
Here's the shot from Frankenberg. Not normally one to miss on those. And here's a look at the foul. You could see Clyburn got disc first, but as he came through, it was contact with Suflo. And then how about this shot from Gordon Larson? Just zipping it into that upwind end zone. I don't think Liston would have been able to bid without launching himself into the receiver's path. That is one of the most ice in your veins throws we've seen tonight. Into the upwind end zone where there have been a ton of turnovers. Got to cover a lot of ground horizontally as well. With the lead on the line, stones from Gordon Larson.
Another excellent pull from the wind chill, mishandled by Gordon. Spiders start from their own end zone. These are the kind of the lost hidden yards over the course of the game. There have been a bunch of possessions where we have seen this Oakland offense go not just the full 80 yards, but really the full 100 from the back of their end zone to the other end zone. Clyburn thinking about it. Rising backhand for Reese. Quick swing for Valley. He's got options. Gordon floats it. Adam Reese. That's a pizza pie.
I mean, there were sequences on this point where almost everyone downfield was getting fronted. All the defenders were kind of sitting underneath those receivers and daring them to go out. And guys were still cutting through it. They were still making viable deep cuts. And Oakland just waited until the safer option continued to present itself. They know attacking that upwind end zone is a dicey proposition. They know a huck is going to hang and they don't need to pull the trigger. And with the likes of Adam Reese, Walker Frankenberg, Leo Gordon, with the keys to the O-line, that group's in good hands in that situation.
Ian, there have only been 3 turnovers total in this third quarter through 11 minutes. Can Minnesota score the final goal of a quarter for the 3rd straight time tonight? You don't want to have to burn a timeout here. You also want to make sure you don't give it away. Christian Johnson. Minnesota's in no hurry. They will receive to start the 4th.
Oakland downfield D, just passing people off, not letting anyone come underneath on this quasi-force side.
Middle of the field, it's Brandt. 15 seconds for the wind chill. Contact is called. Dylan Burns.
The clock did not stop, and it should have. They got to put at least 3 seconds back on that clock. That 8.3 is definitely inaccurate. I think that's what Monforti is radioing about.
Robin Vickers-Batzdorf has taken an injury, replaced by Chandra Boyd-Flegel. Nate DeMorgan goes off for Minnesota. He was replaced by a little bit more size downfield.
A little convenient there, huh? Interesting timing.
Zach Morton into the game. Young University of Wisconsin. Deep threat, and Morton has it go over his fingertips. Cousins goes down. There's certainly contact. It's incomplete, and the clock should be rolling because the disc did not go out of bounds, and the third quarter expires. So the wind chill come up empty at the end of the third, and unless Oakland is going to maybe try to say they try to take a timeout with time still left, we could argue about whether this is a good timeout if they have one full field shot.
I mean, I don't hate it going downwind. Upwind, I might question it, but it looks like they've put 1.3 back on the clock.
You're right. And the disc was completely stationary. You are allowed to call timeout in that situation. Technically, when the disc is still moving, you can't call a timeout. Somewhere the folks in Madison are like, that first game after the pandemic, Minnesota's timeout after the hand block in the final seconds at Breeze, the disc was still moving, time ran out, but they put a second left.
That's right.
Minnesota got the game tying goal and won in overtime to flip that rivalry completely on its head. So, I don't know, Ian. I think these timeouts are valuable.
Oh, and we're getting 3.5.
Oh, well, that's different.
Yeah. You can get a swing, maybe even 2, and then...
Yeah, clock starts when the thrower releases the disc.
Maybe 2 swings, and then the rip.
So Minnesota's big boys are downfield. Will Brandt, Blake Crapful, Zach Morton, Justin Burnett kind of in the middle of the field right now.
You can see a little honesty here closer to the disc because Minnesota knows we still want to challenge at the point of release as well. Yes, you may get an under, but I'm still going to set a flat mark on you.
Can the Oakland Spiders come up with a last-second score? It's a delay of game because Leo Gordon threw it before the clock started, before the whistle to initiate play. So they need to reset the stadium clock here. They do. Clock starts again as he releases it. Back to Gordon. He didn't get it off. This is not going to count even if it's caught. Zach Morton ensures that it's not a factor. And we are tied at the end of 3 on Friday Night Frisbee. Minnesota will receive to start the 4th. This battle of undefeateds has lived up to the hype. And we still got 12, or who knows, maybe 17 minutes, or who knows how long we might play into the night. 4th quarter from the East Bay coming up.
The Ultimate Frisbee Association is proud to partner with Victory. Elevate your game with Victory insoles and recovery footwear at VKTRY.com. Delta THC Seltzers. No calories, no sugar, no alcohol. Catch life's moments at DrinkDelta.com. Two Town Cider House, bringing the best craft cider for everyday celebrations. Find yours at TwoTownCiderHouse.com. And Disc-It. Round Net meets Ultimate. Disc-It is the must-have portable game for every UFA fan. Get yours at DiscItGame.com.
Three down, one to go, 14 all here between the 5-0 Winchell and the 7-0 Spiders. Stats through 3, Ian. Minnesota with the only break in that third quarter, but the Spiders score the final goal of the period. So the Winchell get ready to receive to start the fourth. What's foremost on your mind as this final 12-minute period begins?
I'm going to sound like a broken record if you listen to me coming out of halftime. These D-line conversion and break numbers are not at the season averages and where these teams have been able to execute so far in the regular season. The difference tonight is going to be which team can get closer to that form here in the final quarter.
Matt Ruby on the sideline was eavesdropping on the Minnesota huddle during the third quarter break. Matt, what'd you hear?
Coach's message, stay hungry, stay aggressive, and have fun. This is what we came all the way out here for.
Will Brand has played a lot of deep cutter, but he's the center handler to initiate this first possession of the fourth. Been impressed with Christian Johnson tonight, Ian. Unsung star for this team, 30 years old. He's been playing for a while. He's been very steady.
Doing the work downfield, not getting in the way, not making any mistakes.
Gordon Larson, 6 assists in each of his last 3 games coming into tonight. He's got 2 assists so far this evening. DeMorgan on the doorstep. Cross field. A layout catch by Greg Cousins. Are you kidding me? DeMorgan made him work for it, but Cousins capable of greatness.
And again, folks, Nate is going to pull the trigger. He is going to throw those shots that elevate your heart rate a little bit. And it's not that Cousins didn't have a viable lane and that wasn't a good throw to space. Just a little more exciting, especially when you throw that with the outside in edge going in the downwind direction. That's not going to stay up as long as it might in stiller conditions. There's the threat of that disc getting pushed to the ground more quickly.
Second assist for DeMorgan. He's also got 4 goals. And Greg Cousins made a spectacular back of the end zone catch last week in the Winchell's victory over Indy. Another tremendous grab to put the Winchell on top here to start the fourth. Leo Gordon continues to be super steady.
Really nice defense in the backfield there from DeClercq, taking away multiple reset options there to Reese.
Game high 50 completions for Leo Gordon through 3 quarters tonight. Here's Clyburn over to Whited. And Gordon beats Burnett. Second goal of the night for Leo.
I mean, you want me to play my track again, Evan? What did Oakland do? It changed the angle of attack, and it kept moving the disc laterally, relentlessly, before the defense could reestablish the mark, before even the speedster Justin Burnett could get all the way out there and make up the ground.
I like it. It's like a remix. Play the hits. Who would say no to Oakland at Minnesota rematch? Week 8 Friday Night Frisbee next year.
Twist my arm, man.
Maybe we'll see a rematch at championship weekend. Who knows? Plain catches the pull quickly to Larson. Continue for Savell Fernandez. Here's Vinoka. Brandt bluffs the big backhand. Liston marking. Back to Larson.
Yeah, that was DeMorgan making that deep cut.
Low throw to Morgan. Full extension to maintain possession.
Really good field switch there from Plain.
A lot of different great players leaving their mark. Another awesome hammer. This time it was Gordon Larson dropping it right into Vinoka's breadbasket in the end zone.
And that was super bladey on the entire trajectories. We get a look at DeMorgan making sure, laying out with the pancake catch. You don't always see receivers do that. But after this field switch happens, it gets over to Larson. And this thing doesn't turn all the way over and flatten out. It stays fairly vertical, finally starts to dip and even at the final few yards of the trajectory. So kudos to Vinoka, making extra sure, looking that one all the way in.
Already mentioned Bevon passed Misha Freistatter tonight. He's now 1 goal away from tying the great Jonathan Goose Helton on the all-time UFA goal scoring list.
Great company to be in. And a testament to Bevon's longevity and his impact, too.
Playing his 112th career game in the UFA here tonight.
It's crazy. This Minnesota active 20 is so tough to make with all the great talent in the Minnesota area, all the youth pipelines that feed it. And Bevon, one of the elder statesmen now, is still a no-brainer to be in that lineup.
He'll be 36 in November. But to your point, Ian, Ben Feldman told us that the wind chill had 38 guys at practice earlier this week. And he really feels that all 38 would make the top 20 of every other team in the Central. Walker Frankenberg is in the end zone, and we're tied again, 16 apiece.
Yeah, and we're going to get one more look at, yes, Oakland continuing to move the disc laterally and open up crazy windows that way. I wonder if at one of these points, you know, Ambrose or Burnett is going to try and take a chance and kind of over pursue earlier in the route out to that lane and see if they can steal a block or bait a throw. Yes, you might find yourself slightly out of position if they plant and come back to the inside lane, but those are the kinds of micro adjustments and little tweaks that defenders like Burnett and Ambrose like to make as a game goes on.
We are tied for the 11th time tonight. Blocks have been hard to come by here in the second half from both teams. The wind has settled a little bit, although it's still blustery out there. Both offenses have really found their rhythm after some halftime conversations. Larson ripping it. Vinoka wasn't really cutting. He's turning on the Jets late, and it floats for him perfectly. What a shot from Gordon Larson. And that ties Bevon with the great Goose Helton, 16th all-time UFA history.
So Larson looks off 2 or 3 underneath cuts there. Guys that had at least a yard of separation. And a look that might have been higher percentage. And this is a team that, look at that, 2 guys coming through wide open underneath, and Gordon says, I don't care, I am dialed right now. I am en fuego, and I am going to pull the trigger for Bevon. I mean, what a night for Gordon Larson. And if there was any question, we know that he is the quarterback of this offense now.
4th assist for Larson. He's got nearly 400 throwing yards tonight. Of course, Oakland's Leo Gordon is leading the way with over 500 throwing yards for the Spiders. Oakland has not had a game like this all season long. Adam Reese sending Boyd Flegel. It's blocked! Lacey gets a piece of it and smacks it out the back.
I mean, multiple turns to Boyd Flegel. We look at Reese trying to throw that angly shot. We saw Frankenberg try and take a similar one.
And an immediate underthrown huck from Lacey, intercepted by Frankenberg. Valley to Clyburn. Minnesota a chance to double its lead. Instead, Oakland ties it up. Dylan Whited in the end zone with 7 minutes left. Our 12th tie of the night, 17 all here in the 4th.
Here's a look at Reese trying to connect with Boyd Flegel. Lacey gets the block, and then Frankenberg in position. And Whited, another piece of this offense that we haven't really talked a ton about, but is so dangerous in his own right. In the right spot there at the front of the end zone.
Another goal for Whited, and the assist to Dexter Clyburn, I should say. Last year's Callahan Award winner. This year's Callahan winner, Zeke Thorson, made his Carolina Flyers debut last weekend. Minnesota's got a Callahan winner too, of course, Justin Burnett. Won it 3 years ago for Emory. Isabel Fernandez. Back to Larson. The crowd cheering for defense. Defense they're getting. Incredible release valve there. Larson finding his college teammate Will Brandt with a scuba, and you see the chemistry from these two on display, Ian. Another floater in Brandt's direction. DeMorgan's not in.
Got to get it off this line.
Bevon gets involved. Scoobers to Brandt. What a possession from Minnesota. Against relentless championship pressure from the Spiders.
I mean, the resets between Larson and Brandt. I don't know if we can get a look at that earlier scooper from Larson to Brandt at stall 6.79. As DeMorgan and McCall have a little friendly chat after that point. Who hasn't Nate been talking to this evening?
He's in the middle of it, wherever he goes. Big night for Will Brandt for this Minnesota offense. Cam Lacey back out there to pull. Past the midway point here in the 4th. How much fun is this? Gordon. Alone in the backfield for a moment, but then joined by Valley. Ian, what are you seeing from the cutters and the defenders downfield? Hang on, Boyd Flegel looking for Clyburn. Dexter can't get there. We tick under 5 minutes to play. Minnesota's got another break opportunity.
How long a leash does Ben Feldman have here before he elects to call a timeout?
You have a lead. Do you want to save your final timeout in case you need it in the final minutes? This D-line does have the best D-line conversion rate in the league all season, although tonight just 3 for 8. This is their 9th chance. Lacey lays out, keeps it alive. Boyd Flegel on his back. DeClercq shoots it, end zone. Oh, it's misread at the last moment. Zach Morton cannot bring it in.
Well, Lacey wanted to throw it to him earlier in the possession, and then he completes one more underneath pass, and Morton just can't maintain his read as he's trying to orbit and move himself around downfield.
Clyburn the closest defender, but that was a pure misread, and the tuft of wind it hit as well may have favored the Spiders here in the East Bay. Under 3.5 minutes. One of these teams will stay undefeated. The other will suffer their first loss. Both teams, I think, will learn a lot, take a lot away from this game, regardless of what happens. Boyd Flegel going deep. Gordon looking for something under. And now it's a stall. He didn't get it off. Minnesota will take over with good field position just across midfield.
This is the phase where Oakland desperately misses Daniel Ridhall, right? They've just turned the ball over. Who's going to make the play to get the ball back for the Spiders now, if anyone?
Ben Feldman is going to take the final timeout right here. Clock stops with 2:31 left. And the Minnesota wind chill. They were viewed by many as frauds even after they became champs. And I think their performance last year down the stretch, after they got blasted on the 4th of July by Chicago, bouncing back to beat that undefeated Union team, and then coming from behind against the Atlanta Hustle at championship weekend, I think that showed everybody just the kind of championship toughness that this team brings. And I'm excited to see the wind chill fans at Seafoam Stadium next Friday night, Ian. The Salt Lake Shred, who were in a barn burner a little while ago with Oregon. It was a 1-point game. It was actually tied going into the 4th. The Shred now lead by 6 with a couple minutes to go. So it looks like Salt Lake's gonna get the victory in Oregon tonight. But Friday night Frisbee next week. Twice the free Frisbee. Free Thursday Frisbee in Madison, free Friday Frisbee at Minnesota. The wind chill trying to stay undefeated. Klain shoots it. Vinoka can't get it. Set play. Klain could not get enough float on the upwind backhand.
Yeah, I'm so curious how the coaching staff feels about that, because normally you want to take your time to walk it in, but the question is, was it just, hey, we're doing a green light on this set play no matter what?
He had him open. He just misthrew it. Now, one timeout left for Oakland. Under 2 minutes to play. What will Liam Christ do, the first-year head coach of the Spiders? Evan Magsig has played a lot of offense in big situations. The Spiders, of course, are no stranger to thrilling games.
Well, Christ is walking right next to the official. Every step he takes, Christ is following him. You could tell he could be prepared to burn one.
Under 90 seconds. Minnesota leads by 1 on the road. Interdivisional, undefeated ultimate. Tough catch by Carter Langford. working with Magsig. There's an injury in the middle of the field. Robin Vickers-Batzdorf was questionable coming into tonight. Now he's...
Yeah, and he took an injury earlier in this game.
Yeah. Look of frustration on the face of RVB.
There's Kyle Liu helping him off the field. Definitely an impact player when he gets back into the lineup.
Clock stopped with 1:07 to play. Again, the Spiders have the one timeout if they want it, and it's contact on the mark. Under a minute. Oh, nearly a block there from Minnesota's Christian Johnson.
I mean, this is crazy if Oakland can march this in. They are wearing out this Minnesota O-line. And if Oakland marches this in, this O-line's going to be gassed, having to try and get a hold with the game on the line.
On the doorstep of the end zone, Seamus Robinson. Not in yet. Dylan Burns. Quick flip, and we're tied once again. 18 all with 26.5 seconds left.
Unbelievable patience as we get a look at earlier the turnover on the deep shot to Clyburn, and then Lacey saving possession here. Here's the shot from DeClerc, and Horton just can't quite angle himself and adjust. And then the stall here from Gordon, and the set play for Vinotka a little too far. How about the patience here from Christ to not burn that timeout and trust this group with Evan Magsig at the helm?
James Whelan with the goal. And now Minnesota's out of timeouts. The Spiders look like they're going to use their final timeout here.
That seems like a gift from Christ and company.
He's wanting to make sure they have their end of quarter defense set. It's a mixed line. Leo Gordon out there. I mean, this is like a universe point type line for the Spiders.
Yeah. Boyd Fleegle.
But if you save the timeout, if by some chance you get a turn, you could call it and give yourself a chance to get set, but who knows?
Right. I think the bigger thing in this moment, yes, you want to get the right line out there. I think the bigger thing in this moment was letting the Minnesota wind chill O-line get some more recovery time before the next point. That just feels a little like a gift to me, but I'm sure Christ was weighing that in his calculations as well.
.26.5 seconds to play. Both teams are out of timeouts. Leo Gordon launches the pull. Josh Klain. Back to Larson. Minnesota would love to take the final shot if they can, but most importantly, they want to score. Will Brandt with 10 seconds. Shoots the backhand. Paul Krennic has it, and Minnesota leads with 4.6 to go. Brilliantly played offense from the wind chill here in the clutch.
I don't know what was going on with the Oakland defense there, but there were just too many easy gainers. I honestly didn't have a good grasp on what the systematic call or look was there defensively, but this O-prime line goes out there and gets the job done for Minnesota. They're not going to put any extra time back on the clock. 4.6 seconds for Oakland to go downwind and try their best to force overtime.
4.5 seconds for Oakland. They need a score. No timeouts. Clyburn gives it back. Frankenberg throws it away. Oakland runs out of time, and Minnesota is the team that escapes this interdivisional clash undefeated. A 19-18 thriller
that Minnesota wins on the road here in Oakland.
Neither of these teams played their best game, but Minnesota did just that little bit more in crunch time to come out on top. Both of these teams are going to look back on this and think about all the opportunities that they left out there on the field. Minnesota's going to think, hey, this could have been a lot more one-sided. Oakland's going to think, hey, this should have been ours to take. But tonight, Minnesota executing in the dogfight, under pressure, down the stretch, and letting the rest of the league know they are for real.
Again, they're for real again. They've come out west before. They lost at Seattle. They lost at Salt Lake. They got crushed by Colorado. They win tonight to spoil the Spiders' perfect season. 1918 wind chill. Victorious on the road. We'll talk with our Delta difference maker and wrap it up right after this.
Championship weekend in the Western Ultimate League.
Covered and grabbed. It's Yen. Oh, what a grab. And oh my God.
Grab from Chung, and as Chip Chang launches to Stetmeyer for a goal.
And a blazing
into the end zone, and it's a layout grab.
Up for Milner.
Wow! Oh my goodness, Leah. That was a dime ball.
Welcome back to Fremont High School, where the Minnesota wind chill grabbed the 1-goal win tonight. Our Delta difference maker is Will Brandt, who just threw the game-winning goal with 4.5 seconds left. Will, congrats on a great road win. What was it like playing against this challenging Spiders team in this tough atmosphere and emerging victorious?
Yeah, thanks. Really tough game. Definitely our toughest competition of the season so far, but this was one we've been looking forward to since the schedule came out. A team we've never played, really talented on both sides of the ball, and we really had to work for this win. Great win. So.
Will, what was the call before that final O possession, and then take me through your mindset as you got that disc on the edge of the red zone?
Yeah, I mean, Oakland kind of bailed us out to get our O group back out there with the timeout. We got a nice line, got a play for Noah, and then we hit a nice layup, a chunker we called him, and then I saw my guy PK, high school buddy. I've been throwing that throw for like 10 years, so that was going up the whole time.
You got your high school buddy PK, your college buddy Gordon. There was one possession in the fourth quarter when you and Gordon just kind of threw each other open 3 or 4 times. What's that chemistry like that you guys have manifested? Now he's the quarterback and you're the deep threat.
Woo!
What's it been like evolving your role this year, Will, with Gordon doing more of the throwing and you being more of a downfield guy?
Yeah, shout out Gordon, man. He's learned how to throw. Back when I used to play with him, I couldn't even throw a flick, so back in college. So he's come a long way. Props to Oakland for shutting down the first look, and Gordon had to throw some of those crazy scuba and that inside-out backhand. So that's the chemistry, I guess.
What do you feel like you learned about your team tonight through this battle against the Spiders?
Just resiliency and playing a full game. Like, we've struggled to perform for all 4 quarters in the past, and I think tonight we really showed that we could stay consistent and play a good all 4 quarters and overtime if it was necessary, but thankfully it wasn't.
Well, really the difference in the game was your 2 buzzer-beating catches at the end of the first quarter, which it was close whether it was on the line or in the end zone. Did you think you were in? Did you know you were in?
It was definitely close. Oakland guys were saying it wasn't in, and I wasn't looking down, so I guess the ref called me in, so shout out that ref.
And then the second quarter, you got the end of quarter grab from Josh Klain as well.
I'm not even remembering this now, but
that was with 1.7 seconds to go.
Okay. Oh yes. We won those end of quarters. That's big to win a game like this. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
This is the first of 4 interdivisional games you have. You got Vegas tomorrow. Have fun. And then you got Salt Lake next week, and then Boston, who beat New York tonight in overtime in New York. They're coming to your place in July. What are you most looking forward to about the rest of the season and all the challenges ahead, Will?
We've had some tough losses to Salt Lake in the past few years, so it'd be great to see them again and hopefully get a win this time. But definitely the Boston game, like championship rematch from last year. We've been thinking about that game the whole year, so that one's encircled on the schedule for sure.
All right, Will, we'll let you go and enjoy this one tonight. Don't have too much fun tomorrow night in Vegas. Hopefully you'll be ready to go next quick turnaround to play next Friday night on Friday Night Frisbee again. But we'll look forward to seeing you at Seafoam Stadium in front of all your great fans. Thanks so much, Will.
Thanks, guys.
That's our Delta difference maker, Will Brandt. 4 assists, 4 goals, 1 block, just a hair below 500 total yards. Our final stats, Ian, there was only 1 break in the entire second half, I believe.
It's crazy to think about because that's been such a huge part of both of these teams' identities through the first several weeks of this season. That's where they've made their money. That's where Oakland has beaten 5 opponents by 10 or more. And to see that kind of not materialize in this game, I think it speaks to the level that both of these teams brought out of each other, the pressure that they put on each other. And it also shows them that, hey, when we're going up against the best, we're going to have to be even more precise. And our decision making is going to have to even more dialed in than it has been up to this point.
What do you think the Spiders' primary takeaways from tonight will be?
I think some of those same third O-line shots down the sideline that are not just 15-yard unders, but 40-yard aways. I think they're going to have to reconsider if those are ones that they want to hit in really tight games. Are those things that you really want to pull the trigger on? And they also just need to figure out, how do we get our D-line to convert when we're going up against a really high-quality opponent in super windy conditions.
Big part of that will also be getting healthy. If they could get Dan Riddaller back,
Oh, yeah.
obviously a huge absence for them tonight. But what a
Valley
win.
goes back over to the D-line. What happens if Kyle Liu is out there on either that first or second D-line?
Raekwon Atkins is a blue chip piece that they're going to add to one of the lines at some point. So that's week 8 of Friday Night Frisbee. Of course, there's still so much action coming up the rest of the weekend on WatchUFA.tv. But next week, we don't have just one Friday Night Frisbee, we've got 2.
The Salt Lake Shred are used to playing in front of huge hometown crowds. But an interdivisional trek through Madison and Minnesota is a gauntlet the Shred have never experienced before. Next week, Friday Night Frisbee starts on Thursday in the capital city of Ultimate as the Shred and the Radicals meet for the first time ever in a standalone showdown.
Really excited to head to Bree Stevens Field for the first time since championship weekend last year when Boston beat Minnesota in the finals. And then Seafoam Stadium has become a remarkable haven for Ultimate Frisbee. They set a record with 2,300 fans last week against Indy. I wouldn't be surprised if they break that record next week. And the wind chill, assuming they can take care of the Vegas Bighorns tomorrow, it's going to be a tough one for Minnesota, likely to return home undefeated and battle tough after what happened tonight.
And this is going to be a different kind of pressure that this group would face. You know, for years past, they've been, yes, the team that made it to championship weekend, but also the group that's had to prove themselves down the stretch. And now this is the group that's in the driver's seat, that's gotten through the massive test earlier in the regular season. This is a different state for this group to be in.
So Minnesota wins 19-18. Salt Lake victorious tonight. They got a big game tomorrow at Seattle. That's on watchufa.tv. And then the Shred go to Madison in Minnesota. Free Thursday Frisbee and free Friday Frisbee next week from the Midwest. Sometimes games that have so much hype fizzle out, and other times great teams deliver greatness. And that's what we saw tonight. Plenty of action, tons of pressure. The intensity, the spirit was high from both sides. The Oakland Spiders had plenty of moments, but Minnesota had just a couple more. Justin Burnett and the wind chill leave the Bay unblemished as they win 19-18 to improve to 6-0. The Spiders drop to 7-1, and Oakland has its final 4 games of the season on the road. Who knows, maybe we'll see these same 2 teams in Madison in late August at championship weekend. If we're that lucky, that would be fun. Thanks so much for staying up late with us wherever you might be, whether it's early Saturday morning on the East Coast or here in the Bay. For Ian Toner and our entire crew, thanks to Matt Ruby for his great work on the sidelines. I'm Evan Lepler saying good night. We'll see you next Thursday in Madison.